Of course, our top story tonight, Chad's Foreign Minister Moussa Faki Mahamat is the new AU Commission Chairman. He beat four other candidates, succeeding South Africa's Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma. African leaders attending the 28th Assembly of Heads of State and Government of the African Union in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, elected Mahamat to the new top job. Here's a full report.
The African Union has a new leader. Chad's Foreign Minister Moussa Faki Mahamat has been named as the new AU Commission Chairman at the bloc's headquarters in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. After 7 rounds of voting, the Chadian Foreign Affairs Minister defeated favourites Amina Mohamed of Kenya and Senegal's Abdoulaye Bathily. Previously, he serves as the body's chair of the Economic, Social and Cultural Council. A candidate needs to secure at least a 2/3 majority, 36 votes, to be cleared a winner. In July last year, the AU failed to appoint a new leader after candidates failed to garner the required number of votes. More than 50% of the member states abstained from the second round of voting last year. Meanwhile, the AU is expected to vote on Tuesday whether Morocco, the only country in Africa that is not part of the organization, will be readmitted into the body. Rabat withdrew from the Union in 1984 to protest against the admission of disputed Western Sahara territories. Bureau Report, ANN7.
Well, to take us through the AU summit, I'm joined in studio by political economist Mkhabela. Mkhabela, very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, and viewers at home.
Of course, a huge congratulations to Chadian Foreign Minister there, Mahamat, for getting the top job.
Yes, we congratulate him for the position, and we support his credibility in leadership to manage to secure such a position, and taking such a leadership role in Africa. It needs you to be very strong. You need to agree with a lot of countries. It's a 54 state or member state, and you will see the lobbying to arrive at a point where you will be a winner. It's not easy. So Chad is it's about 12.4 million population economy, of which coming from there, it's a sign of new things as well to come as well for Africa.
A hotly contested election that was. I mean, we saw candidates that were also favoured for this position not making it. However, he came up top. What kind of a legacy do you think he's inheriting from Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma as she leaves office?
I think what the legacy that the African Union has is a legacy of disunity in Africa, of which Africa needs a leader, an inspirational leader that can unite the continent. 1963, Kwame Nkrumah has worked very hard in building a vision for Africa. The 1970 leaders, they have also worked very hard. But now I feel we are at a stage where we're supposed to be maybe a United States of Africa, where probably we'll have one leader. We unite, because a lot of things probably that we're not uniting around, we might have passed on it now, and we might have started to see the value of a united Africa led by one president, one continental leader, that can probably break out this Francophones and Anglophones situation that we have. I don't think the youth of our time or the leaders of our time can fail to lead Africa better than how it has been led. I mean, the outcome of the elections is good for Chad to have won the election, but it's continuing to be a block of West Africa and Central Africa.
That continues to happen, doesn't it? The AU has been criticized for being slow to react when they expected to be on their ball and react. We've seen what happened there in Burundi with the DRC recently. And also to speak out on burning issues. When we look at the candidate who has been elected into place, Moussa Faki Mahamat, just given his characteristics, he's not new to the AU. I understand he led a certain faction of the body. Do you think he's a man that will be able to do that?
Yes, he has led a variety of he led in variety of positions. He has been president of economic and social
Yes.
like communities around 2007 and 2008, and he has led a variety of women and youth initiatives, and he has led I mean, like, as a prime minister of Chad as well. So he has credibility as a leader. To me, leadership is the character that he will show now, because now he unveiled himself to the continent, the competence that he will show, of which what we want to see as Africa is a prosperous Africa, a united Africa, an Africa that has peace and security, of which the other leaders, the fault of it is they might be coming from big countries or what. He mustn't look at that. A leader, it doesn't matter where you come from. A leader, you show your competencies, and we are all unique. He can still describe good leadership better than almost anyone who has led the African Union.
And he has been credited with fighting Islamic states, perhaps Boko Haram in countries like Nigeria. He seems to have that in his CV. Obviously, I hope it'll work to his advantage. Also, just looking at his campaign rhetoric, he was speaking of, I'll try and quote him, not verbatim, that he dreams of an Africa that, that we don't hear gunfire. Instead, we hear cultural songs, and we hear, factories that are working. In terms of economic development, what needs to happen?
What needs to happen is Africa must be one. We are a big bloc, like globally, and if we can unite, we move out from the borders. If we can be a borderless continent and we unite, we have peace, we improve our doing business in Africa ranking, in all, not only in South Africa or Botswana or Mauritius and Seychelles, but the whole continent improves in doing business, and then our World Economic Forum global competitiveness ranking as well improves. I think he can be a good leader in shaping that. Beyond that is to cut this historic colonial state of French and Britain in our continent. I don't think it's a good character or a characteristic that we have, shaping ourselves as Africans from where. But
right.
we need to look at Africa that it's Africa. We need to develop our own identity.
Very important. So the AU has decided to readmit Morocco back into the African Union. It'll be interesting to see the dynamics with West Sahara, as they still see it as part of their autonomy. How do you see this working out?
When you look on the top, you will understand that North African countries, they have a huge blend of Arabic and European-based kind of countries, and they might see themselves relating much to those continents more than maybe us in the sub-Saharan Africa coming down here. What matters most is how we handle ourselves, and the continent has its geographical stance, and the stance of the continent is not going to change. But Morocco can be losing so much in wanting to identify itself outside Africa, other than looking at how it can benefit from Africa and leverage from there. I mean, Africa is very rich. It's a continent that we can leverage much on. The base is on unity.
Right. Yeah. Without unity, then we won't be able to achieve any of this. Just taking a look at what happened in the Gambia, with how ECOWAS, came and they took charge of the situation and they restored a somewhat peace within the area, with some people criticizing the AU, saying they could actually take a leaf out of the book of ECOWAS and make sure that they get more involved as well when it comes to issues that are involved with, peace and stability within their member states.
We had burning issues in the continent and outside of the continent, where we expected the African Union to have released a statement. All it can be Ghana, Gambia, all these countries, when they are going to elections, the African Union can as well indicate what kind of a leader they need to lead any African country.
But what power do they have? I mean, each country obviously is a sovereign state. They are confined within the premises of their own constitution and their laws.
I think they have power, but they are not realizing how much power they can have. I'm not indicating that they can decide for the country, but they need to identify the caliber of leaders that we need. But that being said, and probably a failure that we are already witnessing, I believe that young people and leaders within the continent, they are seeing everything that is happening, and we are hoping to see our continent to be the best. And this will happen even in our time. It won't be a difficult thing for us to unite as young people in Africa, other leaders that are willing to take Africa to another level in Africa and to unite Africa as one continent. We can as well have this
2063
to include one continental a president. It won't be a problem about that, because that can be the main thing that when we have 54 prime ministers in the continent and we have one president in the continent, it can be a good shape, and working towards that, it can as well cut off these arrogancies of France and Britain dominating in the country that is not theirs and taking control. I mean, we must be we must feel shame of ourselves if that control that we gain democracy and independence so long, but that is still our identity. I don't think
economic
it's a
freedom
good,
as well. Yeah. I wanted to talk about the Agenda 2063 that you briefly mentioned. Of course, that's part of Dr. Dlamini Zuma's legacy, of course, being the first woman to have led the continental organization. How important is it for the new leader who's coming into place to make sure that there's a continuity of this program, inclusive of obviously women, and the youth was a part of this agenda very much so?
We need to have a continuity and start to lead Africa as a legacy, not to lead Africa in a character of who is leading and who agrees with who. We need to take Agenda 2063 forward, but we need to have as well a vision that is broader. They can add some of the aspirations. The first aspiration is to see Africa as a prosperous. That is aspiration 1 of the Agenda 63. Peace and security is important, is vital, and we are almost going there. It's a lot of developments that we had in strengthening our security in different countries. What matters most now, if the current commission chair can unite African youth, he will be the best leader.
All right.
This is what I can give it to him. Uniting the youth in Africa, that will be the good character, because they are the leaders of tomorrow, and probably they can realize far much better things that we have been failing to realize.
Right. So the bottom line, unity and security,
unity and security
for Africa to go forward. Mila